Hey folks, Rob here, and since I didn't clean the ATI, the American Tactical FXS-9 before I shot it, I thought we'd do a video on how to clean your FXS-9. It's like any other striker-fired handgun, basically, but, there might be somebody out there that picks up this specific model, don't have any experience with firearms, and this might be helpful. You'd be surprised the comments I get all the time. It says, "Thank you, your video helped me because I didn't know how to disassemble this gun." Or, there are a lot of new shooters out there that pick up these budget guns and then they don't know how they operate. So first thing you want to do is to remove your magazine. Make sure you have an unloaded magazine. Pull your slide to the rear, lock it back. Inspect your chamber. Make sure you have no rounds in the chamber. Make sure you're safe. That is the first and foremost thing you want to do. Keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. And after you've confirmed safe and empty, lower your slide. Well, no, sorry. While you got the slide back, rotate your takedown lever down. It should be past the 90 degree. You can see it kind of flat. It runs flat with the frame. If it's 90 degrees, it would kind of stick up like that. So it should be running parallel to the frame and the slide. Then you can lower your slide release, pull your trigger, and it slides right off. So once you get to this point, you have your guide rod and recoil springs assembly. You will remove that. Then you will remove your barrel by picking up and lifting it out. And then you will have your slide. And this should be as far as you really need to take it if you keep it clean. And then you have your frame itself. So I always like to use a toothbrush, and I have some hoppies here that we're just going to use. And I like to take my little toothbrush, and I always start with my slide. I don't know why, just the way I do. You want to clean inside your rails and the top of your gun. Clean your breech face good, and especially try to get under your extractor. Keep that clean. Clean around your striker assembly, and just give it a thorough cleaning with the brush. Now this has only been shot 50 sometimes, so it's not extremely dirty. So not a lot of scrubbing to do on it, but once you get that done, take you a clean cloth, and you can use Q-tips to get down in these areas, or you can just take a cloth and kind of get down into these little nooks and crannies. And some of these little picks are always nice to have. Some of these little plastic picks where you can use them to get in with a rag. But try to get as much of your hoppies off as you can just by wiping it down. And there, I spilt more hoppies. Shit, I'm gonna have to go buy a bottle. Damn it. That's twice I've spilt that bottle, and I'm about out. Set your hoppies over away from where you're working or whatever you tend to use. But I just like to clean out as much of that as I can and get the dirt and grime off of it. And just set it aside. And we will take our frame, and if I can get enough hoppies out of here, we will clean our rails and our rails in the front and the back. And that's pretty well it. Just give it a little bit of a scrub. You get the worst stuff off. And do the same thing. Just take your rag and wipe off as much as you can get. Like I said, you can use Q-tips to get in those tight areas. I've cleaned so many guns, I just wad up a towel and stick it in there. But get as much off as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Because you know what? You're just going to go out and shoot it again and get it dirty again. But that's the whole point of it. Get them dirty so you can make them clean to get them dirty again. So Okay, now we've cleaned our frame. Now let's do a little work on our barrel here. You notice we got a lot of burnt powder and residue there around the feed ramp, on the feed ramp, and the front of the barrel and in our chamber. So we're just going to work some solvent on that, you know, and get some on there. Of course, we're going to get some down the barrel. Now, I use, and I'm going to wipe this off on the outside with a clean cloth, but I typically use a bore mop to clean the bores, and this is, I use the Real Avid. They work good, and actually it's still out where I used it yesterday. So the Real Avid, it's just a little pistol bore kit. This one's for 9mm, 38, and 357. It's just a little cable with a ball end, a piece of brass brush, and then your mop. And this is what I typically use. And I typically I use CLP on this. And I'll put a little CLP on my bronze brush. And then I'll put some CLP on the mop. Just a little bit. And I'm going to pull that through there 2 or 3 times. Because the CLP not only cleans the bore, but it also oils it. So you don't have to go back through it with an oily mop. This kind of does it all in one swap. So that was one pass with our brush, but we'll take a couple more if you want to. I like the bottles of CLP. You can even put a little bit in the bore, a few drops. Just let it kind of run down there. That way when you brush and everything goes through there, gets it good and clean. And it lubricates it. This CLP is kind of an all-in-one thing. So it's good for removing burnt powder residue and lubricating and oiling your gun at the same time. So there's another pull through. And I don't know, she looks pretty good right there. So I think we got her pretty good. So we'll wipe that off. Then I like to take a little CLP and just put it on my barrel, a couple drops, and just kind of take my finger, work it in. Don't need a lot of this. We're really just protecting it. Then I like to take my slide and reassemble it. I'll put my barrel back in, put my recoil spring back in, make sure it's seated, and then I like to take a drop of CLP, put in that rail, drop in that rail, drop here on my barrel, and usually a drop right there, and a drop on top of that. Alright, so we'll set that aside. Now we got our slide. I'll usually put a drop on the rail on top, because remember you put some already in the groove itself. Put a drop there. I'll put a drop right here between the frame and the trigger bar, so you can see kind of works down in there. Put a little drop here on our sear, and that's it. And then we're going to reassemble our firearm. Take our slide it back on, lock it to the rear, rotate your lever down, let your slide go home, test for function. That slicked her right up. Then I'm just going to take a drop of CLP, like one drop, and I'm just going to rub that on the magazine all around. You don't want to put oil in your magazine. but you don't want it rusting and corroding. So I put a drop, just a couple drops, wipe it in with my finger, take my rag, and just leave that film on there. So as you can see, that left a nice thin film of CLP. Reinsert your mag, and you're ready to go. Now some guns, if they're a blue steel or some other metals, you might want to put you a drop of oil or something on the outside metal itself, just to preserve it. And I just kind of do the same thing. Take my finger, kind of work it in, because we're not looking to make this super oily. We're just looking to protect the metal. And then I take my rag and move it around, get all the excess off, and we are ready to go to the range again. So anyway, guys, that was the cleaning of the ATI FXS-9. This is going to be a awesome handgun, I think. I may be wrong, but when I took it out of the case and felt of it and felt the trigger, and guys, there are some excellent handguns coming out of Turkey. I mean, you think about the Canics, you know, and the Gersons, the Tisas, a lot of good guns coming out of Turkey, and I believe this is just the same. This thing has awesome grip. This probably has the best feel and grip of the newer guns that I bought. I love the feel of that grip. It almost reminds me of a kind of an FN on the bottom, and maybe like a M&P on top, maybe. I'm not sure. But the grip here kind of reminds me of FN, just the way it feels. And yeah, so anyway, guys, quick look at it. If this gun's new to you and you need to know how to clean it, there you go. I hope this helps somebody out there at some point. And until the next video, we'll see you guys later.